Hey everyone, welcome back. You are the gateway into comics. I want to first thank Ethan Van Sciver for having me on his show tonight. It was fantastic. I really enjoyed it. All those guys are great. So we are working with telling stories using this method, and what it's really called, what I really want to call it, plot first story development, right? I call it story expansion. I've been talking about it with Star Wars A New Hope for the past couple writing videos, and I'm going to finish off there, and then we're going to actually get into talking about the actual comics from 1977. So for right now, what we've been doing is we've been asking questions to build a story statement into a summary, a full summary that we can pitch to someone. And so please understand, I'm not under the notion that Star Wars A New Hope was made like this, using this kind of method, but this is just a good way for me to show you what plot first development looks like, using a story that everyone knows, which is, of course, the best movie ever made, Star Wars, Episode 4, A New Hope. So it's just a good way to work with these things. And so I've been thinking about this a lot, and I've gathered a lot new equipment. I have some totally cool stuff that I bought myself for Christmas, and I think y'all will really like it. And I'm gonna start using it pretty soon. I'm still getting the hang of it. In fact, the reason I haven't been making a ton of videos is because I've been working with those things. So be patient with me, and I promise the new stuff will be really legit. So we're talking about upping the stakes in these stories, and even from here, think about the millions of people that were murdered when Alderaan was destroyed, and about how to make the entire story really ring true with these kinds of important plot points, right? And so an amazing tool that's used very well in A New Hope and tons of other stories is the countdown. Right? Countdown before the planet is enraged. Utilizing a countdown in stories, it really adds to the tension. It really engages viewers and readers, and it's another incredible tool for really building that tension. It's been used over and over. The first thing that actually kind of comes to mind is Nick of Time with Johnny Depp. I don't know if you've seen that film. The thing that actually made that film gripping from the very beginning was just simply working with that countdown clock. Otherwise it would have been a pretty boring movie, right? And so this really, in Act 3, it just drove it home here for Star Wars. So working with that technique, in using story expansion, I've talked in the past about a couple videos, and I will leave the links in the description below. We're expanding that story, right? And that's exactly what we're doing. And so here's what we had come across here. And developed. A young farm boy's family is killed, prompting him to leave his home on a quest to save the princess, who's a leader in the rebellion against a tyrannical government. Upon reaching his destination, the hero finds an entire planet destroyed by a giant weapon, and upping the stakes, the fate of the galaxy is in the hands of our hero. And so when we expand this, we start asking questions, just like we did before. We ask any question we can think of. If there's something that doesn't feel right, we want to ask a question, find out the answer to it, and work through it and develop the story that way. So a question we can ask here is, how do we get to that victory? What do we do to actually cross that? And so we know we want our hero to destroy the huge weapon that destroyed that whole planet, of course. And so write down all those possibilities. Take a pen out, write about it, write all the way through. And you'll come up with tons of answers, quote unquote. They probably won't be the right answers, but once again, there's no wrong answer. There are only more compelling answers. And so that's what we're after. We want to tell stories that tell compelling stories. And we need the most compelling answer to tell the story the way that we really want. And what are we looking for? The highest stakes that we can possibly find. So make it be here. Hey, as soon as that planet is in range, they plan to wipe out all of the allies. Everyone, destroying the whole rest of the freedom fighting movement here in the rebellion. And so that countdown timer, it creates so much tension because, I mean, that's everything. We've already destroyed this planet of Alderaan. We've completely wiped it out. And so this is it. This is the last of the freedom fighters, the people that we're siding with. The good guys are about to get destroyed. And of course, this is the pivotal point of the film. We can ask so many more questions, and that's exactly what we want to do. How did they know about the vulnerabilities of the weapon, of the Death Star? These kinds of questions lead to filling in the gaps, and this is going to expand the story into exactly the kind of way that we want it to expand. And again, finding the most compelling answers is the most important thing that we could do here. We could make it be like this. The Princess steals plans to destroy the Death Star. And this is one of those groundbreaking decisions, those light bulbs. And it can go off in your mind, and the plot decisions that actually work, they drive that story home. Because it's big, because it works together, because A leads to B, leads to C, and you'll hear me repeat myself consistently about that, because I mean, it's very important for everything to work organically together. You need one situation to lead to another, you know. For example, we're answering that question right now about the droids, and so what could have happened here? Let's answer it. How do we know of the Death Star vulnerability? So of course, we'd brainstorm for that. We'd work a while on what feels natural, and we come up with it. So the Princess sends a droid out away with those plans, right? It expands the story, it pushes it forward. Guess who buys those droids? Of course, it's our hero. It's Luke Skywalker. He comes across those droids, he buys them, and he finds that message embedded. And of course, this is where he is. He's on Tatooine. He knows who Old Ben is, and he goes to him. And this is just exactly how this organic storytelling works. A leads to B, leads to C, and you want these things. And again, it does feel a little bit coincidental. That's okay. That's okay a little bit. Here's what you don't want to do. Don't get me wrong. I actually do like a lot of J.J. Abrams stuff, and I do like Lost. But here's an example from Lost. This story does not appeal to a lot of people, and it's because of the insane coincidences that they throw out within that story. People don't relate to that. It seems very freaking unbelievable for all these things to happen and all these people to have met before they ended up on this island. It seems fishy. It doesn't seem organic. It doesn't seem like it works. This very slight coincidence that happens here in Star Wars, it's not really that big of a deal because it seems to work organically, right? And that's kind of the message that I want to drive home here. When you're working with plot-first story development as a method, and when it's utilized from the beginning, again, if all we have is that bare-bones plot, then things, they really won't flow the way that I like them to. Again, I'm just throwing out all these ideas. Plot first, character first. It really is up to you what kind of methods you use. And I know it's taken me a while to throw all of these things out there. Understand this. Plot needs to be intrinsically tied to your characters, right? Your character development and your character's downfalls. So all of their ups and downs. Centering this to the plot is so helpful for engaging your readers. Readers like that stuff so much, you know? Again, don't get lost in structure. These are all suggestions, and that's really all they are. I like to equate this to martial arts, and I know this may sound silly at first, but stick with me here. Hear me out. So, every single form that I've studied, and I've studied a few here, and I've studied martial arts actually most of my life now. And I used to teach kids classes for the longest time. And specifically in the Japanese arts that I looked at and studied, they would talk specifically about forms, right? And these are the katas. These are basically, you are repeating movements over and over, and you're ingraining them in your mind, and you're imagining yourself fight against invisible opponents. And you're seeing them in your mind as you do these things and go through these motions of you simulating a fight against multiple attackers consistently. And that's what it is. So learning the forms, and it's just like Pythagoras was talking about the forms, right? And in order to be like water, like Bruce Lee said, or in order to be formless, learning some of these guidelines is immensely helpful. It's not just helpful, but some people would say essential, right? I would say essential. Some people just have a natural knack for storytelling without learning any of these forms or katas, so to speak. So what we're doing here, we're just kind of learning some guidelines that could be used or could be thrown out. You could take it and throw it in the trash. Like I always like to say, if it doesn't work, don't mess with it. If it does work, utilize it, and find as many things to utilize that do work, even deeper than that, right? Like I said, two kind of different thought patterns here. Right here, again, we've gone through kind of a basic process for plot first development by asking questions, which is good. I usually use these methods toward the second half of my story development, right? Where I've used this as an example to kind of push Star Wars home from the beginning here in these past couple videos on writing, which I'll leave those links, of course, in the description below. Lots of links in the description below. Check them all out. So many different ways to write. It's impossible to just really say, this is the way to write, because there's a million ways to write, right? There's a million ways to throw a front kick. There's a million ways to throw a back kick. There's more effective ways. There's more effective ways for you specifically as an individual, and everyone is different. So once again, just kind of use these as tools. Take this with you and move forward with all of your stories. Hopefully you are able to take something away from all of these chats that we have. Again, this is really my favorite videos are talking about story development. And I cannot wait to do live streams on all of this. So once I get to that point to where live streams are feasible, I got some really cool electronics, and I'm going to throw those in there. We're going to be doing live streams together, and I'd really like for that to be the way that we develop these stories that we're going to develop together. Again, I want to, from very start to finish, bring you through that entire process that I like to use, and hear your input as we go. I want to create a story together, and I want to create a comic book script together, and then I would really like to throw our story up on Indiegogo. And I know you'd be putting money into the fact that we already built a story together. Hey, it seems fun. It seems like fun to have everybody involved in this. Let me know what you think. I'd love to hear your comments about this. This is actually really exciting for me, and it's the kind of stuff that I really want to do. It gets me fired up. It makes me want to continue this process forever. So once again, thanks for tuning in. Subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. I'd love to hear what you have to say about anything that has to do about writing. Hey, if you think about something, shoot me a comment. I'm on Twitter as well. Follow me on Twitter. Shoot me a message. I have people contact me consistently, and I try to engage with people, and I really enjoy, like I said, these videos. I'm going to come back with a video tomorrow, and then we're going to talk about writing probably in a few more days after that. Gosh, Merry Christmas, guys. I look forward to talking to y'all tomorrow. And hey, I might be on another live stream. Again, I'm going to join Sweetcast probably on Thursday. We'll see. He's going to have a live stream. It's going to be pretty fun. I'll tell you more about it next time. Once again, folks, you are the gateway into comics. I'm Chase. Have a great day. Merry Christmas.